Cheyenne her? Okay, we'll hold that.
This was her second non-appearance.
Well,
Her letters came back undeliverable.
oh, so you inspected her comment.
So this is second non-appearance? Move for
Denial?
denial based on 2 non-appearances.
Second?
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Amanda Plefke?
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 Prefke.
Oh, Plefke, oh, that's a can, okay.
Oh my goodness.
No, Amanda. Okay, we'll hold Amanda.
That was the first for her?
Derek,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Derek Zarnecki? Come on front. Okay, this is a new license.
Yep.
Plug it out, okay. Well, you know, it says on here, have you ever been ticketed, arrested, convicted, fined, of violations? You get the one disorderly, and we got all this.
What's that?
This is all your violations. From 2006 all the way until a year ago. Including 2 operating while intoxicated. Let's see, 1, 2, and numerous operating while revoked. Do you have a license currently?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a valid driver's license?
Yeah.
It says that you're revoked currently on our list.
No, I got a valid one.
You have it on you?
No, I went to Impact to go get it reinstated, and they gave it to me. I don't have it on me right now because I didn't even drive today.
So how'd you get here?
My girlfriend's in the car.
Okay. And, okay, you live in Tulsa, so,
I'm moving to Dallas this weekend.
okay.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Rose,
Has the warrant been satisfied?
Yeah.
is it? Do we have
Yeah.
evidence or something?
Pardon
We
me?
can call dispatch if we want. I called on somebody else. I didn't see it on this one.
Oh, that one.
Okay,
Yeah, I think the other one, it was the one with the warrant.
well,
Is
there's
there
one
this
here,
Still?
1117 warrant.
Shouldn't be because I just.
Oh, it
'Cause I'm on
2017.
2017. Yeah,
Usually-
1117 7.
Usually this in the
Usually
bottom.
the officer, if it's still outstanding, he'll write it on here, so
I
I'm
agree.
guessing
Oh, okay.
he was charged with a warrant.
Oh, 2017. I already.
17.
2017?
I sat for that.
Okay. Mr. Chair.
Alderman Haas.
Yeah, we have multiple concerns here, Derek. You put on your form where it says very clearly that you need to list everything. You listed only one thing. You have your history with issues with the police is much more extensive than that, and you have 2 DUIs. This committee typically has very consistently found that 3 DUIs is too many. 2 DUIs is too many. At least on 2 occasions, you made poor choices for yourself,
Yeah,
and then
and
you
I-
got in a car and drove. As a bartender, a licensed bartender in the city of West Allis, we're going to be expecting you to not only make good choices all the time for yourself, but also have to make good choices for others. That's a concern for us. And then going back to the other issues, they all have generally been resolved. That I'm satisfied with that. My warning to you is just that, yeah, you need to stay on the straight and narrow
Aye, aye.
and conform your actions to the law. That's easy.
And I have been.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Sure, go
Sorry,
ahead.
if you were done.
Sure.
I did look on CCAP too, and I usually try to do that for these cases, just to make sure that we have all the information. And it looks like there's a bunch of information that, I don't know if it didn't appear or was inaccurately reported on our form, but I'm finding some bail jumpings from 2017 or 18 from Racine, intimidating a victim or witness, from 2017 or 18.
Those are all the same. Those are all the same. Besides the the Racine,
Mm.
that 2017 imitating a witness is all the same case as the 2017 on your guys' paper.
The warrant,
Right.
the 2017 warrant that you had to sit for.
That was Racine's.
How long did you have to sit for that?
I sat for 45 days.
Okay.
Those would be offenses that if this was a pending matter, we could consider and deny for, because it would fall under the, potentially violent offenses. This is not a pending matter, it's a closed matter. Just for the council or the committees, I think we have arguments here, especially considering types of offenses, non-compliance with the law, that would substantially relate to the licensed activity if the committee decides to go that route.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, where I was
Yes.
going is, I think these have mostly been resolved. They are recent, a little bit too recent, but still in balance. Yeah, I'm going to move for approval.
Okay,
Can I say something? Because
no,
it would
no,
be-
No.
no, this one,
That's actually my boss.
right.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion, do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay,
I'd like to ask more questions if I could, before I.
okay.
Oh, no,
Well,
I
you
didn't, I
think- oh,
just, so we can
Alderman
open
May.
it up for discussion.
Nick, can you, again, if someone's on probation, is that reason? to
That's
deny?
not automatically by itself reason to deny a license. That would be something that we might consider. If the underlying offense, whatever got them on probation, was something that we or the committee argued substantially related, and we made record of that, that'd be something that the applicant might be able to bring in later to show substantial rehabilitation or rehabilitation, but it's not by itself the fact that he's on probation a red flag or something that we can deny him for.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
what is the probation for?
For the 2017 ex-girlfriend thing.
And can
It's
you read what
2018.
that is again?
Just for the record, it's 2018 CM 1051. That's what I'm seeing.
It was definitely 2017, but they booked it in 18.
All right, so there's the Racine one there, and then in 2017, I agree.
Can you restate what the Racine one was again?
Racine was bail jumping.
And what was the other one? There was two of them you read on there that weren't on our sheet.
Right,
There's
So the 2018 Racine case was bail jumping, and there was a guilty plea to bail jumping, and one charge was dismissed but read in, meaning the court could consider it for sentencing purposes. There's a Milwaukee 2017 case for disorderly conduct
Well, it was witness intimidation or
and
something?
intimidate victim, dissuade reporting.
and that was a guilty?
That was dismissed but read in battery, guilty disorderly conduct, guilty plea to intimidating victim, dissuade reporting.
Guilty, you said.
Correct.
Okay. Give me interpretation on that, because he's guilty to sway the,
Guilty to dissuade, what that would mean to me is trying not to have somebody come to court potentially.
right, okay.
I don't know the underlying
No,
facts, I don't know
Right,
if it's
right.
accurate or not,
it's
that's.
definitely
Just
not
reading,
accurate.
just reading what was there, so, okay.
Could be your side.
Sure, go ahead.
That was it was a fight one night with my ex-girlfriend. Cops called, we were called, and that was when I had the warrant for Racine. And then the intimidated witness was because I threw her phone, because I didn't want her to call the cops because I had a warrant out, and I already knew I was gonna sit there, so that's why I had the warrant out.
Okay. Well, I personally, I mean, this isn't a place that we have a lot of problems with, but obviously when you get a license, you can go to any place, you can work anywhere. And we always want you to cooperate with the police. If there's anything that goes wrong, you call the police. And you have not used a lot of good judgment so far. And so that's one of the things we look at.
I understand that.
So, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay. 3-1. Okay, now this goes to the council meeting, which will be on the 1st, and then the rest of the council has to vote on it. So, you don't have to show up for that, you know, watch it on
But you
TV
can
to
if you
see it
want.
happen, yeah. And if it passes, then you can pick up the license the next day. Right. So,
Effective, Mr. Chair. You
Pardon?
can always call us the next day to see how the vote went to council.
okay, motion carries. Okay. Then we have Melissa and Christina. Oh, I'm sorry. Let Christina come up first. I skipped one here.
Christina Lopez from
Yes.
One More called, she's not able to make it.
First time,
So
correct?
here. Okay. So, then. Do we have? Okay, Melissa and,
So it looks like I'm 6 and 7.
yeah,
I'm not sure.
And Amy Elizabeth.
And Amy is
Oh,
6.
Oh, did they stick?
I'm wondering, I know they're the winners. Amy, you wanna come up here also? I'm wondering, Jesus, those are both there, I do. Remember reading the thing? Oh, ahead of yourself again.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Week ahead.
Uh,
I'm Melissa.
right. Now, everybody read the police report, what went on? It seems like you didn't understand the rules of
That is
bartending.
correct. I am just new bartender. I held a bartender's license in the past, but I worked at Red Lobster. We didn't have a bar close, and I had to hold a license back when I was in nursing school. I worked at Tobacco in Wauwatosa, and I had to hold a license. So I never dealt with the 2:30 thing. The night that this occurred, I still had customers in the bar at 2:30. I think it was 2:38 is what it was. I was confused. I was wrong on the law. I thought it was no serving after 2:30, and I did not serve a drink after 2:15.
Yeah, they did have a drink in front of them too, so.
There were glasses. I still was cleaning things up. Absolutely. I take full responsibility. I misinterpreted what the rules actually were. And I explained that to the officer right on the spot. The bar wasn't open. Signs were off. Doors were locked. It's not like we were open accepting
Right.
you. I made a mistake.
Okay, well, you know, that reflects obviously on the owner, and that's why,
Right.
but, that's why we call you both in. You know, you got a ticket, right?
Well, actually, that night he said that because we talked to him, he saw that we were clearly closing. I was training a new bartender on closing. I mean, he saw that, you know, it was locked. They had to pound on the door to get in. And because the time was so short after 2:30, what the officer said to me was, it's really clear that you're not open, that you're not serving. He saw the register tape and everything. He saw that I was cleaning, grabbing everything. He said, I'm not going to issue you a ticket right now. He said, I'm going to write in my report everything that I see. I think you did make a mistake, whatever. He said, I have to talk to my sergeant. If my sergeant decides to give you a ticket, you'll get one in the mail.
Okay.
So about a week later, I got one in the mail.
Okay.
So that's how I got the ticket. He didn't issue it that night.
Okay. And obviously you've been sick, so you weren't around anything?
I was actually, when
She was in
that
the hospital.
happened, was I at Freighter or Community Memorial?
Your community memorial.
Community Memorial.
Okay, well, now that you knew the rules, and maybe you should go back over the rules, so make sure it's
I
not-
did.
not
I
of
did.
other
Trust me,
rules
I did.
that you don't-
I got this license. Amy is a really good friend of mine. I got this license to help her out. This isn't my full-time job. I have a full-time job. I bartend one night a week. If that, usually it's been 2 nights a month. I did it to help out my friend. last thing I ever wanted to do was to get her in trouble. I did go back and I redid the course, made sure I was aware of all of the rules. I
that's
take
what I
full
said.
responsibility.
Yeah, 'cause you're relatively new, you haven't been there that long, so it's just.
Right.
Everything, so, well, as long as you know that, everything will apply. Do I have, this would be for 6 and 7, do I have a motion?
Placed on file, motion to place on file.
6 and 7. Okay, is
I'll
there,
second.
is there a second? Okay, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
All in me.
just a couple things first. I hope you're doing better.
Thank you. I'm trying.
It's good. The second thing is, in the report, it did mention that one of the reasons the officer had passed there is in the past, he said there have been
That's right.
complaints of individuals who said that they would park on their property, people from the bar would come out, urinate in the street, make a lot of noise, and litter in the area. And obviously, it can be hard to control individuals once they leave the outside of the door, but I think we want to make sure you're talking with your customers.
We are.
We
They're
are.
not at the point where they're doing those things.
We
If you see
are,
those things,
and-
call the
Right.
police.
Yes.
We have
they are-
cameras. One of the things I do multiple times during my shift is I go outside. I mean, you guys could drive there right now. You'd be hard pressed to find a cigarette butt on the sidewalk. There's not a parking lot to the bar, so it's all street parking. So,
And that is the complaint, is that our customers park on the street in front of people's houses.
yeah.
Which is a
That-
public street, you can.
Right.
do that.
Right.
You just don't want them
Exactly.
peeing on the street and
No,
throwing garbage.
trust me,
That
if
is
I saw
not
somebody
what's
peeing on the street,
happening. That is not what's happening. And I know the neighbor that's doing it because he constantly sends me Facebook messages complaining about people parking in front of his house. He's 2 houses over from the bar.
Which they
May-
can do.
maybe now that winter parking laws are up, they were up as of what, March 1st?
They-
Or
That's
those
the city of
laws?
Milwaukee. We don't
Has
Oh, is it?
nothing to do with
See,
them.
I don't know. I was
It's
thinking maybe that'll get
strictly-
better. I don't know.
But
Does anybody have any further discussion? We have a motion and a second place on file, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion's both carried, although, just kinda watch it. Hope you get better.
thank you.
Okay, that's it.
So does that mean I get my license? Or not?
Yeah, well,
She
not,
has
Because,
her
well, because my
provisionary
provisional
license.
license was
Oh, it's
up.
provisional.
It was a provisional, and it was up as of March 15th. So I haven't even worked since then.
It
Well,
was
that's-
being,
have we-
Well,
just a second.
Her license will go to council again on April 1st, so it'll be ready on April 2nd.
okay,
It was going to council the last meeting, but because of this report, it got
Okay.
pulled.
okay,
Okay.
all right. All right, thank you so much. Have a good night.
thank you.
Okay. Ooh, not appearing.
We have some people.
We have a couple individuals who showed up.
Amanda? Come on.
Which number is this?
3.
Oh, 3, number 3.
Okay. So, let's see, you're applying for, I find it here. New license.
Yep.
And you're gonna be bronze.
Yep.
Thank you.
You live in Muskego?
I sure do.
And you're gonna be coming here to work all?
Yeah, it's not that far. My dad actually owns an insurance company down the road, so people say that all the time too. I'm like, it's like 17 minutes.
It's a long,
I don't really like the bars in Muskego.
okay. So, you did put down see attached and you had a number of things.
Yeah, I tried to be as open as possible.
Okay.
Well, you missed a couple.
Did I miss a couple? See that? I know I've got like traffic citations and stuff too that I'm not really on top of.
Okay, so, well, there's a lot of stuff here, and see, one of the reasons why we look at these things is that, you know, you get a license as for driving your car and things, and of course, there's not a lot for cars here, is there? Well, there is. And if you don't obey those licenses, what makes you think you're gonna obey the license that we give? you?
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's why we do that, so,
Yeah, I was a terror as a younger woman.
okay, yeah, these are all, let's see, you got just one speeding and 18. Do you currently have your license?
My driving license?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just asking. So,
And Mr. Chair?
Alderman Haas.
Yeah, and following on what Alderman Chaplesky was saying, and I just want to say it again, in granting a license, we expect you to follow the law, follow all the rules. When we see lots of offenses, there are times where you weren't following the rules, and that's what we're gonna have a discussion about.
For sure.
And so you're gonna tell us that you're going to follow the rules for bartending. What time is closing time?
Well, 2 o'clock for us. I mean, I try to get people out at 1:50 because I only close on Mondays if I close. 2:30 is, obviously standard for weekends. I try to work day shifts. I'm a morning person, so I don't usually have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Mondays are the only nights I close. If I do close, and I try to get people out, I usually call around 1:50.
Yeah.
So
And of course, you can't keep on feeding drinks to your customers to the point at the point of intoxication.
100%. Yeah.
All right. So, and most of these are a little more remote. The only recent thing really is the speeding in 2018.
Yeah.
Before that, it's almost 2.5 years old, 3 years old are the other speedings. I'm going to move approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I
Alderman Road.
had a couple. There's a possession Schedule 1 and 2 narcotics in
Yep.
2012.
Yep. I know. Like I said, I had a really young, not at a really young time. I had a really hard time as a young adult. I found myself in a lot of really crummy relationships with a lot of people who were not doing the best of things. I mean, that's been behind me now for, I'd say, a good, over 6 years, just a completely different place. I work in behavioral health. A lot of times part-time. I also do Reiki, energy healing. It's kind of funny because really I'm a night and day different person. It's just funny what happens when you're in the wrong relationship. So yeah, that was kind of my past. Like I said, I had a really hard time as a young adult, but that's definitely been behind me for a really long time.
That would be the same for November of 2007.
Yeah, it was all within the same relationship. He was an addict, and of course, then I found myself using while I was with him. But I've also, like I said, I've been clean for about 6 years now. So, I don't actually really drink. I've also had a lot of loved ones pass away from drunk driving accidents. So I actually really take the laws of bartending very seriously. I'm the person that buys everybody Ubers if they can't get a ride home. So it's something I do definitely take really seriously. And I've been licensed in lots of other cities as well. So.
Mr. Chair, if I could. The drug conviction side of things, manufacture and delivery, is grounds under 125 to revoke or deny. We can talk about that some other point, but there's not a timeline on that, just so we're aware on how long that should apply. That's something that we can kind of do ourselves. We should just apply consistently. So if we're going back to 2007,
Right.
be aware that we're
Exactly.
doing that for a while.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Okay, cool. So I hear you guys talking about also the April 1st. I just want to make sure. Okay, so, and that's how many weeks away? Is there any way I could get another provisional license in the meantime, or?
First is Monday.
Because I can pay for another, because I work a good amount of shifts. We have a girl that is moving. So I'd say by Monday, I'm scheduled as of right now to work 4 more shifts. So I just want to make sure that bronze is covered. And like I said, I have no problem paying for another provisional, just waiting for it to come in the mail or whatever that would take. I just want my bases covered.
I haven't looked into that before.
It's always been Steve's position, that they only allowed 1 provisional.
Okay.
I'm not gonna jump the city clerk on this unless we have some language that says he's wrong in our code. I don't.
But your
Well,
license will be ready April 2nd, next Tuesday.
Okay, and will
So
it
when
come in
did
the
your
mail
other-
or I come and get it?
When's your other one, when's your other one over?
My provisional, that's a good question. My manager has just been sitting up at the bar with me, but I know that she's got other stuff going on at the other place now. So we had just talked about it today at work that she can't really stay up there much longer. So she was talking about, which I mean, like I said, if I can't work, it's fine. Or if we can have some other, but obviously I'd prefer to. Yeah, I think it was up, maybe I think a week ago. About a week ago.
Okay. Well, as of Tuesday, you'll have your license.
Okay, perfect. And I can just call up here? Do I have to wait for it to come in the mail?
You can pick it up here. if you'd
I can just come
like.
pick it up.
I
Okay.
can put a note on it to hold it and you'll
Okay,
pick it up.
perfect. That would be much easier, I listen.
If the committee, I mean, we don't The provisional doesn't get granted through this committee, does it? That's something that's just the
I think it's
clerk's
done through the
office.
clerk's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can talk with the clerk tomorrow and see, I don't see anything.
That'd be
that
awesome,
limits it,
because I'm
but-
off tomorrow too, so yeah, if they would, like I said, I'll pay, I don't, if it just, I just wanna make sure everybody's bases are covered, and if my manager's gotta run somewhere, you know what I mean, it's
Open
just
day coming too.
difficult, so yeah. Okay, yeah, if you could check on that for me, then I'll call up here tomorrow, so that would be fantastic. All right, thank you
Call it-
guys.
yeah, Call the clerk's office.
Okay, perfect, thank you guys so much.
Okay, then we got, Escobars. What's going on with this now? Somebody else bought it? What? Oh, no, Escobars is the
That's when I was.
one
started on fire.
92nd.
Yeah, they had a fire, but it's had to have been a year by now.
And they haven't been open since? And let's see, this is for the,
It's in the corner, 92nd and Greenfield, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
My recollection is there was a fire, there was some issues to that fire is my recollection, and there's new management or wasn't, somehow something was new. I remember them coming in and applying for everything. At this point, I guess I don't know if they're operating. Somebody had referenced, at least in an email chain, I think that some of the places that we were talking about have closed. I'm not sure if Escobar's is one of them, but I think they're just missing some components of actually getting the license. If we wanted
the new people or Escobars themselves?
the new people.
Well,
The
it's-
old license is not, this is a new situation, is my understanding.
okay, so,
And I'll add, I don't believe they're opening. I drive by it every day.
I've never seen one there.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll see a truck or a van.
I will say I did attempt to contact, individuals, Escobars and a few other individuals, just to see what was going on and see if I could either get some compliance or get them to figure something out. There was no numbers on their license that were still functional, there was no numbers listed online that were still functional, everything was disconnected or changed. So there's nothing, their
So-
applications are incorrect.
So do we get their attention by doing a summons and complaint? No?
I think, if that's what the committee would like to do, I have no problem with that.
yeah, but if,
Yeah.
if somebody new is already in there, well, we can just always,
But then they don't have right to premises and we can revoke it for that if they don't show to.
right.
There's a
but
lot
they-
of ground.
Yeah, they would have to apply for it if somebody new is running it.
Mhm.
See, this was, see, the person was Escobar. I don't even know how to say the first name. I don't know how to start saying the first name. You see that? How do you say that?
It's very,
It's very.
So,
There's
but,
some familial
They
ties
had Miss
between
Escobar.
original Escobars and these Escobars. I think, as I recall.
yeah, well, you know, if they're changing the agent, though, they gotta come in front of us. They gotta reapply, so, so you wanna make,
I make a motion for summons and complaint.
second,
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this in there like this here. And number 5 is hell. See that note in there afterwards? Okay, then we had, discussion on the liquor license quota. Now, like you said, we're gonna have a resolution come in front of us, and then we'll discuss the resolution, but, we just wanted to see if there's, you know, what's the feelings of the committee on that? And
What's,
we had,
Mr. Chair, what's driving this?
city attorney, really. Well, there's always the argument been out there, you know, and right now we're full of quota, but city attorney's the one that, you know, started saying that we really don't need a quota. We just gotta watch, with the power, we got the power to say yes or no to people. And we maybe should be saying more no's, because we usually, you know, we don't really that much. So,
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
I mean,
I think for me is, I think we need to get more consistency or have an outline of what we will and will not accept. Bars being located too close together, things close to.
well, the only thing see, the only problem I have that, if you got 2 existing bars, first then it's just transferring the license.
Or you have an Applebee's next to a TGIF,
But
same
still-
type of thing. You know,
But
it
still,
goes
you-
to the distance, yeah.
you kind of encourage that, you know, you'd want an Applebee's and a TGIF right next to each other.
But my
But it
concern
just,
is we get inconsistent with our application. I think
Right.
There needs to
What
be
it-
some sort of general guideline, you know, these things and.
well, that's something that we have to do, though.
So Steve and I have discussed guidelines, I've discussed that option with Kale too. Kale, and I don't wanna speak for him, but his concern, and this did kind of come initially from Kale, that the committee and the common council has some, I think, more discretion and latitude than previously allotted or
Right.
we thought that we had. And so Kale kind of done that little presentation before, which I brought with, so there's a lot more latitude there, you got discretion. But the guidelines are gonna be something that could be used either against you or for you. It's something that's gonna be good, so we are uniformly applying it. But if you find a reason why you want to allow one versus the other, if it goes against your guidelines, then you're tied to the guidelines. The thing is gonna be applying that appropriately, and if you're not, if you're deviating from kind of either stated or unstated norms, to give a rational basis or some reason for why you wanna do that. And so I can go the route, we can go the route of having guidelines. If the committee wanted to delegate some tasks, and I know Steve had brought this up in the past, and I'm not advocating for one position or the other at any point, I'm just giving information. If some power was delegated to the clerk's office just to grant easy things, there could be more on the operator's license than class A's and B's, frankly, but he could have some guidelines where you guys would say, these are the things that are A-okay no matter what, anything else should come to you. That's where guidelines might be useful. For this committee, I think Kale's discretion or decision at this point, or at least direction at this point, would be that guidelines might be more limiting than
Been helpful.
necessary, yeah.
Right.
But who's,
We could have, we just,
If we wanted to get together and say, okay, let's kind of mash our heads together and say, these are the things that we think would be good, this is our meeting of the minds, there's nothing wrong with any of that discussion.
you know, we'll have this next month, you know, discussion again, but I would like to, if he could explain to us, give us examples of what he's seen in the past and everything, I think that would be helpful to us, so because there's gonna be resistance in getting rid of the quota,
Mhm.
you know, and I know I've already got one phone call saying, hey, that gas station has beer, why can't I get it? And I thought we couldn't give it to beers, so, you know, right now we're at 100% quota on that, so. Would we hand out beer to every gas station now? So, you know, these are things that we have to look at.
And I think that's where I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay,
I
go
don't wanna
ahead.
step on you, go
No, I
ahead.
don't wanna step on you guys, you're the boss, I'm just
Okay,
hanging out listening and talking.
go ahead,
Just hanging out.
go ahead, boss
As I
man.
said about, yeah, boss man, I think it was like 2 years ago we had this conversation. I still think we're diluting somewhat the value of people that have a license now.
By giving more.
Yes, it's like the government printing money. I mean, we just keep, that should be given some concern also, or consideration. Just a thought.
Right. No, I know exactly what you're saying, because we went through this discussions before, you know, but, obviously it would help any development, because then they pretty much know that they're gonna get a license. You know, big development comes in, but then again, somebody wants to open up a corner, mom and pop bar in a place where, like I got a number of old bars that have been closed down, haven't a license for a year, well, somebody comes in there now, how can we say no?
Consistency is gonna be important if you,
Right.
consistency is gonna be important, but I don't think the only hallmark. There's a lot of different ways that this committee could rationally decline one versus the other. We have to be intelligent in how we do that, but if we don't want a corner bar at this spot because history's been bad there, and because the neighborhood just doesn't want it, I think at least what Kale's training or slideshow or whatever you wanna call it, as long as we can point out specific instances why this is a no and this is a yes, I think we can get away with that. And that's kind of what he was saying, is that this is a may license as opposed to a shall, which is the operator's license. If we've got that large latitude there, we can exercise that, just make sure that we're appropriately doing it. If there's any
See,
race-based reason or
well,
anything.
the problem is that we don't remember 2 years ago how we did something, you know, unless it's something that's really, you know, if it's the choice, we're never gonna forget that one. But other people, you know, we're not, you know, we're gonna say, you know, we turned them down. I don't remember exactly why we turned them down, and that's but being a neighborhood bar, you know, there was so many neighborhood bars that are closed. And, in fact, one of them called me some time ago, and I told them that we wouldn't okay a license, you know, for them. You know, but, you know, that's where I think, you know, if we say the neighborhood doesn't want you there. See, now, that's something new that I didn't think we had before. Alderman Haas.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think with our discussion here and what my thoughts are, I think we should keep our quota as is. We have the tools that we need for development if we want to go over the quota, and we can do that if necessary, if a really good place comes along. But as it is, I think that our council that would really struggle with just what we were identifying. You know, well, what can we articulate to say no to you, but yes to you? Our quota does that for us, and we would be opening the door to many more licenses, which I don't think would be good for our city.
Well, I don't think it hurts or helps,
Yeah.
unless it's corner bars,
All right.
you know, if it's.
That's what I'm talking about, the corner
yeah.
bars, like you're saying that,
Right.
well, it was a tavern many, many years ago and hadn't been,
Yeah, we got a lot of them,
yes.
you know, and so some of them fortunately have been changed, but other ones are still sitting there. So, Alderman May.
My understanding though is we could say we're not open to corner bars anymore in this neighborhood. Or we could,
Neighborhood bars,
I think, I
Heavy
mean, I recall
residential.
the discussion with Kale was that, okay, we deny neighborhood bar there, but a restaurant wants to go in, and this great development restaurant wants to go in, and they're gonna be less of a drinking hole or watering hole and more of a restaurant, fine dining, whatever it's gonna be. There's a distinction there. We can draw that distinction. We're not putting any corner bars in, but in this case, this wants to move in, and we can. I think in the past, the conditions on a license was something everyone was skeptical of or concerned about. Kale was more comfortable with that, and so, I mean, that's,
I think when we have our next meeting, we should have Kale here to bring out some of the points and everything that he, you know, bring it up. You know, you're still gonna write the resolution.
I can still
And
draft
so-
it up. My question was gonna be, so under 901, we can get rid of all of that. There's nothing in 901, if we wanted to, that needs to stay. There's a continuity of licenses, but that's only discussing if we revoke a license. Well, it's kind of the grandfathering side, but it's also saying if we revoke a license, a landlord would have a certain amount of time to come back in, I believe. That's under B.
Yeah,
But if there's not a quota, then they're not gonna be concerned about trying to fit in under the quota before somebody else scoops over.
right.
So all that can go away. Under 902, there's a few mentions of quota, and so I thought it was gonna be quick and easy enough of just repeal 901. Then I found there was some more references to it in 902, and I wouldn't wanna do a quick repeal that leaves old language in there, so we'd have to fix 902 a little bit.
Well, why don't you get the resolution ready?
All right.
Bring it up, and then make sure that all the aldermen, you know, get that we're gonna be discussing that at our next meeting.
And that'll be common council, we think?
No, I'd rather have a regular meeting than a
Okay.
common council meeting. Common council, because that could take quite some time,
Yeah,
you know?
and I'll help Kale here
You
too.
know, we don't need,
It's one of his ideas.
we don't like
of-
we don't like being here at midnight.
No.
that was a fun
Again,
Yeah.
morning.
12:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12:30, that's the longest ever, but,
Mr. Chair.
Alderman May.
A couple other things. You know, everyone kind of bashes the idea of the neighborhood bar, but everyone seems to like their own
Yeah,
corner neighborhood bar, which I find really interesting.
Yeah,
Right?
you're right, exactly.
Everyone loves their neighborhood one.
Alderman
And all
May,
the
that's-
other bars should be gone.
That's like politicians too, Alderman May.
That is.
They dislike Congress, but they keep on voting their
They
own
keep voting
guy
for
or
their
lady
own
in.
people in.
yeah.
Exactly.
But,
So,
Go ahead.
also, I think in some ways, you know, the idea that you have to spend so much on development can also prohibit smaller individuals from breaking into the business as well, who might do really well. And so one question I have for you is, right now we've got special uses for any Class A licenses. Could we make it, you want a Class B? You have to get a special use permit to occupy. So Mickey, if you're worried about that corner bar, for example, in your district, you say, all right, now you gotta clean the building up to look like this, you've gotta do all these things. Would we wanna, if we're gonna open this up, would we want to make it that any Class A, B, or C liquor license requires a special use permit on the property? That's how you can probably get your properties cleaned up
yeah,
too.
So your thought there, just so I can understand, is that if the quota would go away, then we would add basically any alcohol establishment, A or B, to the special use side of things.
Yep.
Okay.
And the idea, again, you clean up those
Right.
corner properties.
Yeah, well, truthfully, I don't know how anybody can make any money in a corner bar anymore. But you bring up the part about when we were talking about a restaurant, there's problems with that too, because, you know, what percentage is food and what percentage is, and no one's gonna check it, you know, unless they have an incident, no one's gonna check it, and so,
And beyond that, like we said before, the conditions part of this is not something that's ever been really tested. I think Scott was pretty hesitant to push forward adding conditions to a license. I think Kale was more comfortable with that thought or
right.
concept, and so, I mean, it's just differences of.
I think that would help us, conditions would definitely help us.
Right, and so I think
But you gotta
that's-
be consistent with them, so.
I think that's would be Kale's answer, and I don't wanna speak for him, but I think
Right.
that's Kale's answer to the special use side of things, is why do we even need a special use if we can have people do conditions in the
Right.
first place? I think Scott maybe was more risk averse, and that's kind of the tone that we had taken going, at that point. I don't think Kale is unrisk averse, we're lawyers, that's kind of what our job is, but,
Right.
I think he, again, I don't wanna speak for him, and I'll get him here next time, but I think his thought is, we can add conditions, we don't need a special use, we can just add these conditions at the outset, and proceed with the conditions on the license. If they agree to it, they agree to it, otherwise we can just deny it, cause they don't wanna follow. It's a contract, it's an agreement between the parties.
Mr. Chair,
Over me.
regarding the food versus alcohol, when I talked to Kale, he seemed to have a different opinion on that. His
Oh, he
idea
did?
was, well, if a person says they're gonna serve 30% food and you go in and they're selling popcorn and then frozen pizzas behind the bar, chances are they're not making 30% of their
Right.
money. He said in cases like that, you could probably challenge it and do well, you know. So there are some cases where I think, you know, that can be checked.
And that's I would say that's his argument for the conditions. If they're saying
Right.
on their license they're gonna be 70% food, I think Scott's opinion at the time was, well, how do we,
How do we know?
yeah, and is that a condition on 125? Not really, but is that a condition that the municipality kind of inherently has then, is we can proceed, if you tell us that's the information we're gonna rely on, we'll rely on it. So I think that's the
Yeah.
kind of the split.
Well, I'm sure Marty has some views on that.
And Mr. Chair, one
You
more.
know, so, go ahead.
If I could, we don't really give penalties and stuff very often for businesses for doing bad things, so, 5 days you have to close your business, or
Oh.
10,
We haven't done
we're,
that.
we're pretty lax, and, I'm not saying we should go out and just start being heavy-handed or anything, but, you know, there are some bar names we see here more frequently than others, that, you know, if we want these licenses to have some meaning, we have to enforce against individuals when they're not obeying the law as well, so.
Okay. You're saying like the people that came in front of us, if this was their third time they've been nailed for that?
Right, it's an
We could shut them
automatic
down
so
for
many
10
days
days or
off.
Or
something?
even second time. I
It would be
say,
the-
but, yeah.
Second time, yeah.
I don't, I didn't. I
Still
haven't
our
looked
own
into this one.
discretion,
Yeah,
but-
I think we'd have to go through a 125 has revocation, suspension, there's another word that goes with that. I think because they're together, it would be the revocation process, and would suspend instead of revoke, which is fine, it would just be a potential hearing
Yeah, we-
process. They might agree, instead of going through the hearing,
Just
I'll
give
shut
it
down
5
for
days.
15 days, or 10 days, 5
Well,
days, whatever it might be.
we've done that in the
Yes.
past, a
Yep.
number of times.
Yep,
You know, shut down people.
so it might just be a process, the only thing I'm warning about is like, I just don't think we could say, hey, that's naughty, you guys get 10
Right,
days.
Right.
If they wanna
So
agree
we
to
start
that-
we can start the revocation process and
Yep.
we can agree on that. Allen Road.
Just to add to that, I think anytime we did revocation, those people just straightened right up. We never saw them again.
Yeah, and a lot of people-
They finally figured it out, like,
One we took away permanently.
Yeah.
most of them just straightened right up. And
Yeah.
So, well,
the one that comes to mind was down by the farmer's market in Lenny's. When I first started, he was in here all the time. There was all these
Yeah.
fights, and we took his license away, and it was like,
and they watched everything real close,
yeah.
so.
But that might be the
Well, we just
general deterrence.
we just
kinda-
shut them down for a while, yeah.
That might be the general deterrence kind of thought of prosecution,
Right.
is that, hey, if people start seeing that there's some repercussions for staying open past 2:30 and selling booze and, whatever, I mean, I'm not saying that's,
Right.
Yeah,
revocable
there was-
Selling
offense.
to underage,
Yeah,
selling to.
if we see repeats and, okay, fine, start cracking the whip a little bit, it might also smooth out kind of the,
Raise the bar. No pun
Okay.
intended.
a theory.
Well, it's one of the things, we'll bring up next time with him.
All right, I'll
And so-
draft up a resolution, and then, for whatever next.
Yeah,
meeting we have,
just-
I'll see if I can get, make sure.
Yeah,
Gail's
so,
here.
so you got a month, so you don't have to rush it. I know. You guys are busy, so.
I'll swing in the car.
Oh, okay, now that that's on air, that you guys don't have enough to do up there.
Come visit my office, so see if we can find
So-
anything.
I was
Is there
there
anything-
today, you were working hard.
Is there anything else coming from the committee?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are now adjourned.
Turn your placemats in.
Placemats.
Yeah, I was just talking to Kale today.
Good.